The Voidrunner streaked through space, its fusion torch drive blazing. On board, Captain Taylor gripped his command chair as the ship swerved and jinked to avoid enemy fire. Status report, he barked. Shields holding at 82%, his XO responded. But we can't keep taking hits like this forever. On the main view screen, the lumbering alien destroyer drifted into view, trying in vain to draw a bead on the nimble human craft. Its massive plasma cannons spat sizzling balls of energy, but the Voidrunner dodged and weaved with ease. The aliens had thought their technological superiority would allow them to sweep aside the upstart humans, but they had not counted on human ingenuity. While the aliens built massive ships with powerful weapons, they could only accelerate slowly with their inefficient drives. The humans put everything into speed and maneuverability. "Bring us up along their dorsal side, right in their blind spot," ordered Captain Taylor. "We'll rake them from stem to stern." The helmsman complied, and soon the sleek arrowhead of the Voidrunner was skimming along just above the alien destroyer's hull. The ship's laser batteries opened up, scouring the destroyer's armor. Explosions blossomed along its length as the deadly beams penetrated and detonated within. But the aliens were not finished yet. A lucky shot from one of the plasma cannons clipped the Voidrunner's wing, sending it into an uncontrolled tumble. Alarms blared as the crew was tossed about. "Compensators to maximum," yelled Taylor over the chaos. "Get us back under control." The pilot gritted his teeth, wrestling with the controls. Slowly the tumble ceased as the compensators and maneuvering thrusters fought to stabilize the ship, but they had ventured too close. The destroyer loomed large now, almost close enough to scrape the Voidrunner's hull. Its plasma cannons oriented on the human ship like the eyes of some giant predator. Taylor saw them glow with deadly light. Brace for impact. But the end did not come. Suddenly the glow faded, the lights on the destroyer dimmed. It was powering down its main weapons. "They're launching boarding craft," Sir called out the sensor officer. Sure enough, a dozen smaller vessels were streaming from the destroyer's underside, converging on the Voidrunner, each packed with elite alien warriors. Taylor's face split into a predatory grin. They don't know who they're dealing with. All hands, prepare to repel boarders. The boarding craft latched onto the Voidrunner's hull by magnetic clamps. Alien warriors began emerging from each, clad in heavy armor and brandishing crackling electro-staves. They expected the fight to be short. They were met by a withering hail of gunfire as the hatchways opened. The humans had learned the limitations of the aliens' shield technology. Their electromagnetic barriers were potent, but they relied on dispersed energy strikes. Against a barrage of kinetic bullets and buckshot, they were next to useless. The aliens fell in droves, shredded by the human weapons, but some survived long enough to make it inside the Voidrunner's corridors. This is where the aliens had hoped their close-quarters superiority would prevail. They were wrong. In the narrow hallways and compartments, the aliens' large size and cumbersome armor hindered more than helped. The few lightning-swift blows they managed with their staves were dodged or absorbed by waiting human marines wearing advanced shock-absorbing equipment. Then the humans went to work. Eschewing ranged weapons, they got in close. Combat knives flashed as they exploited the gaps and joints in the aliens' armor with surgical precision. Screams echoed through the passageways. On the bridge, Captain Taylor observed the life signs of the boarders winking out rapidly. He nodded with satisfaction. Turning to his XO, he said, "I do believe we've taught them not to underestimate mankind. Let's finish this fight. Bring engines to full and target their engineering section." The Voidrunner surged forward, its main plasma cannon pounding shot after shot into the destroyer's exposed drive section. Explosions rippled through the massive ship as Taylor emptied the Voidrunner's ordnance stores into the wound. Within minutes, the destroyer was dead in space, venting atmosphere and plasma from 1,000 ruptures in its hull. Taylor opened a comm channel on the general alien frequency they had intercepted. "This is Captain Taylor of the Terran Star Navy, commanding the ISS Voidrunner. Consider this a warning to all others who would attack our ships. You face the full fury of the human race at your own peril." He cut the transmission, then turned to his bridge crew. "Set course for home. I'd say our shakedown cruise was a success." A cheer went up. As the Voidrunner leaped away on a plume of fusion fire, Taylor sat back in his chair, satisfied. The aliens had thought themselves so superior, but had failed to consider the human capacity for both complex problem-solving and savagery when provoked. He allowed himself a slight smile. The galaxy had yet to understand what humans were capable of when roused to battle, but they would learn in time. The Voidrunner's return was met with justified celebration across Earth. Captain Taylor and his crew were lauded as heroes who had turned back the alien menace. Study of the destroyer's wreckage yielded insights into alien technology that were quickly adapted by human engineers. And the dramatic victory served notice to any who would threaten humanity do so at your peril. This was merely the first skirmish of a long war. But humanity had proven it would not go gently into the endless night. With fusion drives, kinetic weapons, close combat ferocity, and sheer tenacity, the human race showed it could stand firm against all threats. In the months after the Voidrunner's stunning upset, aliens learned to fear human ships appearing in their systems. Merchant convoys and civilian outposts were ransacked as the Terran Navy went on the offensive. Primitive centrifugal gravity battleships found themselves outmatched by the superior speed and maneuverability of human vessels. Boarding actions left alien crews slaughtered to the last. A cunning ambush utilizing solar mirrors to focus the heat of a star laid waste to an entire alien battle group. Audacious raids struck directly at shipyard facilities and fuel depots deep in alien-held space. When the aliens gathered a great fleet to assault Earth itself, the humans shattered it in a massive upset at the Battle of Jupiter, using the planet's gravity as a slingshot to devastate the complacent enemy force. By the war's end, humanity stood ascendant. No alien dared risk conflict with these unpredictable, ferocious creatures and their incredible drive to survive and dominate. A new age dawned, with interstellar civilization now following human values of exploration, innovation, and manifest destiny across the cosmos. Other races soon adapted human technology and tactics, realizing that they were simply more effective than traditional doctrine. Alien engineers struggled to replicate primitive fusion rockets and close-quarters armaments. Strange new worlds were now settled by species that had once limited themselves to narrow niches. In time, the old war faded into legend. But all species knew they owed their prosperity to humanity's courageous stand against alien oppression centuries earlier, and the lessons of that era were not forgotten. Speed and maneuverability became prized attributes of starfleets across the galaxy. Infantry tactics evolved based on human innovation during the war. And aliens visiting Earth invariably toured its orbital shipyards, marveling at the engineering genius that produced the first primitive but mighty fusion rockets, which enabled all that came after. Every sapient now understood that superiority came not from complacency, but from a relentless drive to innovate and adapt. That technological advancement was meaningless without the courage to employ it with daring and skill. And that the human virtues of passion, creativity, and determination in the face of impossible odds represented the highest ideals any civilization could aspire to.